Hello, hello, and welcome, my Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your chakra check read for March to April 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angela Lyons, Mal for short, professional witch, professional intuitive, and fellow earth sign. Yay! Welcome, welcome. My pleasure to be reading for you today. Yeah, I know I was supposed to do the twin flame reads, but considering everybody's isolated, what's the point? Right? And that just didn't resonate, didn't feel right. We'll come back to it once life gets back to normal. If life gets back to normal, I mean, well, it'll never be exactly what it was, right? But therein lies the divine plan, right? Everything's happening for a greater purpose that we don't see until, we see it, hopefully. So that being said, I was really inspired, literally. I asked the divine, well, what do you want me to do? And they're like, why don't you do the chakra read that you do for your clients? And I was like, oh yeah. So I think you'll dig it, right? Because this is about healing, but it's about healing on an energetic level. Yes, it can absolutely influence and strengthen the immune system if you know what you're doing, but, still be sane, be safe, do the right healthy things, etc. Otherwise, I'm not talking about this thing we're all going through on YouTube, because it'll get you flagged, and I'm not doing that. No. This is my livelihood. Thank you very much. Let's get down to business, shall we? This is a general read. Please take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and that's why I'm doing Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. You'll see why Venus, because relationships are involved here. So do check your other signs. I know people really focus on the 7 chakras. We are dealing with 8, including the one over the head, often called the star center or the 8th chakra. According to the work of Caroline Mace, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, medical intuitive that she is, and just brilliant, tough cookie from Chicago. I adore her. Her book, Anatomy of the Spirit, life changer for me, right? So you'll see it's not like 7 cards in a row. We're doing 3 here, 4 here, and 1 here for the 3 levels of power: the literal, the personal, the symbolic, the physical world, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual world. You'll love it. I'll explain it as we go. And we're only doing 18 cards. You're getting 8 of these, 1 for each chakra, and then you get 8 of these, 1 for each chakra, and then you're getting 1 of these and 1 of these at the end, so that you can get a nice little overview of what's going on in the collective for your sign, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. But that's why you really do want to check your other signs, so that you can kind of cross-reference, right? Particularly when cards repeat in certain areas, right? So let's say you have, I don't know, 3 of Cups in the root chakra in one and 3 of Cups in the heart chakra in the other. That's going to be very interesting comparison. So if you will focus on your breath as we go along, as will I. We'll stay in the present moment. We'll get you the clearest amount of guidance and grace for your well-being, for the well-being of all, so that we can bring ourselves into balance and alignment with the divine and all get through this together, shall we? Let's dive in. First thing I'm going to do, the decks that I read are all in the description box at the bottom. We're only using these 4, but I'm going to actually bless and shuffle the 2 main decks, the ones that are going to be laying out the chakras themselves. These other 2 will pull very last. So let me get those shuffled and cleared, top 8 cards. Instead of pulling them one at a time, it's just more time efficient to just bless them, because this is what I do with clients sitting across the table from me. Shall we? Please breathe. Oh, that's so yummy. All right, my angels. Here we go, please. Top 8 cards. The chakra check spread for the Cancerian collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. From this March and into April 2020, please, from the root to the 8th chakra, from the root to the star center, please, my angels, just tell me when we're ready here for this Capricorn collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, chakra check spread. Root to star center. March to April 2020. And while we're here, let's do the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. That was the Healing with the Angels Oracle, Doreen Virtue, Daughters of the Moon. Not just the voices of the goddess, which I usually do with this deck. This is for both my goddesses and my gods, so my deities, because yeah, I could have brought in the Mythic Tarot for the Divine Masculine, but then that's just too many cards for a chakra check in my gut. It just felt that way. Yeah, and plus this reading would take forever. So I'm trying to keep them under an hour, right? But worth it and fun, and you'll learn a lot because I've studied the chakras extensively. Ready? Here we go. My deities, please, top 8 cards. Chakra check spread for the Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising Venus signs for this March into April 2020, please. From root to 8th chakra, root to star center, please. Just tell me when we're ready. That was very, very, very fast, my deities. Thank you very much. If I can get a clean cut on these, that would be great. Maiden, Mother, Crone. Oh, I love a good clean cut of the cards. With round cards, for some reason, they catch in the hinges of your fingers, and then one hangs, and you're like, well, was that the top card or not? I don't know. Ugh. It's nice when it's a clean cut. Those we're leaving. Ready? Let's get down to biz. Your root chakra. Welcome to your root chakra. Root chakra, the type of power, the flavor of power there is called tribal power, physical power. Think of a root going down through the base of your spine, through the floor, into the ground, and connecting with all the other energetic roots of everybody else. So tribal power, the human tribe, your family tribe, right? DNA. Your tribe of choice, your friends, your nationality, your on and on and on and on and on, right? Groups, essentially. And that's why I included Venus in these reads, because it is relationship based. Come here, sweetheart. Come on. Because I have my tribe. It's me and 3 black cats. Come here, sugar. Come here, Sabbers. Come on. No, not interested in playing at all. Come sit with mama. No. They'll stare right at you, won't they? Come on, all right. Oh. Come on. Oh, look. This is my oldest. This is my oldest, speaking of my tribe, my baby oldest, my Sabby. We won't say how old he is, but he's still spry. He bounces around like a kitten. I love you, sugar. Thank you. He's my Cancerian. Go play with your brothers. Isn't motherhood a joy? All right, so root chakra. See, I just had a root chakra experience, although that was a little more second chakra one-on-one, but you get me, right? We are family. I've got all my sisters with me. Oh shit, here we go. Okay, well, we're off with a bang. We're starting off with a bang here. We've got the 4 of Blades, deception in the root chakra with forgiveness. Now, right there, that is a whole kettle of worms that if you were my client sitting across from me, we would spend quite a bit of time on this because the interpretations are many, but I could at least ask you some questions to go a little bit deeper and fine-tune this. So I'm just going to do my best to skim the collective for the Capricorns here. Let's start with this 4 of Pentacles, deception. Obviously something is being hidden deliberately. Now, we can deceive ourselves. That's when the truth might be right in front of us, but we don't want to see it, right? It can be an intuitive thing that we're kind of feeling in the root chakra. I'm very uncomfortable here. Something feels really off. Root chakra is fight or flight, but when you're deceiving yourself about something physically is off here, but with that card of forgiveness, it can be that there has been that there's a deception going on here that needs to be forgiven within your tribal power, within your groups. Now, maybe that's national, right? We know that there's stuff going on behind the scenes in this world in general that we are not privy to, whether you call it fake news or, shadow agendas, whatever. This feels a bit more personal, though. This feels like within a certain group of people in your life, and for some of you it's going to be family, like genetic family. For some of you they're going to be friends, that there are some things that are being hidden or that you are really trying not to deal with and just trying to deceive yourself that it's not going on, right? Sort of like that. But with the angel card of forgiveness there, it's really saying that if we are all deceived as children, let's keep it in the genetic family or the family you grew up in. Not everybody is with their genetic family that grew up with them. Plenty of my friends have been adopted, plus we have step family and stuff like that. So it's not just all about that. But let's just say the tribe that you grew up with. The Easter Bunny and Santa Claus and all that stuff, though the spirit of it might well be true. Actual literal beings I've never run into, right? So of course we lie to kids. We deceive kids, and it's different if it's for like a surprise party. That doesn't usually have the toxicity here. But if there really is some closeting going on, some stuff going on behind the scenes that is really toxic, there's a huge forgiveness lesson here, and chances are, because it's the root chakra, that this is ancestral. There are things within family lineages that perpetuate from generation to generation to generation, and I found in my family that I am the orphan of my tribe, even though I was not literally orphaned, but like, I'm sure there are other gay people in my family, but as far as I know, I'm the only one that's ever come out of the closet, right? So it's something like that, like secrets, family secrets hidden here, but that there's an energy here, hopefully of forgiveness already in play, and if not, really saying that, if this is something that you're carrying around with you, it can really affect the manifestation of the things you want in your life. It's like dragging dead weight behind you. When I was in therapy many years ago, I went into therapy 2001 when the towers came down. Not because of that, I was already in it, but that really drove me back into it. Horrible time in my life. And I said to my therapist, I'm like, there are all these things that I want to manifest and I'm working really hard, but I feel like every time I get close, it slips away. And she said to me, Mark, that's because you're dragging a dead elephant behind you. Now, considering I did not have a literal dead elephant, I knew what she meant, right? She was talking about the unfinished business. And we can certainly pass that stuff down, right? Abuse, neglect, codependence, wounds of loss that were never healed, all sorts of stuff that just gets repressed. So, are you dragging family stuff? Now, then there's the other part that we're not just clearing our own personal issues in this lifetime, but also clearing ancestral lineage stuff, going back to, Adam and Eve, if you want to go Old Testament. But just keep that in mind. Forgiveness is an ongoing journey. That there really is no healing without forgiveness, but also you can't rush into it either. You just can't give it lip service. There is a level of forgiveness that doesn't heal at all, and that's like, well, I forgive you. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's based on the old Newtonian model, that you are separate from me. Me, you, and I'm going to forgive you because I'm going to be the bigger person. That's the ego's version of forgiveness, called forgiveness to destroy. It's in A Course in Miracles, is where I learned that from. Where true forgiveness is the quantum, where you forgive someone maybe not for what they did, because, we all do toxic shit at one point or another, but you understand that they were in pain when they did it, and therefore were not themselves, right? They were possessed. Eckhart Tolle said, if someone is possessed by pain and they murder someone, did they really do it? And he said, no, they were possessed by pain. So that's one thing when it's an individual who says or does something when they're angry, when they're depressed, whatever. But when it is something that's passed down behaviorally through a tribe, or the family or the tribe in general is conspiring to deceive, that's a lot harder to do. But it's there to be forgiven. But by the way, I can forgive on my way out the door and from a distance. There have been plenty of people in my life, including entire tribes of people in my life, that I've just cut and walked away from. Because I bless you, I get it, but I don't have to watch you do this, and I don't have to play victim to someone else's toxicity. So you can forgive without being enmeshed, right? Just saying. Let's look at your second chakra. Now you see the Venus, why I made these Venus readings. Second chakra is also relational, but it is second chakra. Second chakra is umbilical. It's like the umbilical cord. Instead of to a tribe, like a root going down and touching all roots, this is like an umbilical cord, your relationship to another person, another thing. Second chakra is finances and sexuality and creativity, all of which are about you and something or someone else, right? Okay, this is the third time in 3 readings that the oppression card has come up, and I get why. We're all feeling a little oppressed right now, oppressed by fear, oppressed by isolation, oppressed by, not having the access and the freedom to do the things that we want to do, because we have to be wise about this and keep ourselves in balance and not expose ourselves to things that would, let's say, be physically dangerous and toxic to ourselves. Watch as I jump around the subject, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Here we have a woman buried underneath stones. The faces on the stones do indicate people, right? Indicate the psychic weight of others, as well as the opinions of others, as well as sometimes just the people that are holding you down. And with that comes the card of support. Now, this doesn't say you're being supported in your oppression, but this would certainly indicate a one-on-one relationship with another person, or perhaps an addictive issue. Second chakra is one of the 2 addiction centers, the sacrum, second chakra, and the throat, the deadly sin of gluttony, and greed, and gluttony, right? The 2 G's. The OG, right? The old 2 G's. The deadly... Melchior! The fuck? Come on. My boys, they love having me home, but verbal. Just like mama. So something is weighing you down, oppressing you, perhaps in your sexuality, perhaps in a relationship, perhaps in addiction, or perhaps your financial stuff is being affected, and hence the support needed from spirit is indicated in your second chakra, but that it's coming from spirit. So really tune in. Listen to your second chakra. The voice of the second chakra is very, very clear to me. I'm what's called sacral chakra defined. It is probably my strongest of the 3 lower chakras in terms of intuition. The root chakra is fight or flight or freeze, right? It's instinct. The second chakra goes, right? Like, think of someone that you really, really like. The second chakra will go, think of someone that repulses you. It goes, right? That's a relatively accurate yes, no. Not necessarily about the truth or predictive, but whether something is right for you in that moment. Usually if you're face to face with it, but sometimes if you imagine it, or if you see a picture of it, you can sort of energy test. Is this a match for me right now? Really good with menus, right? Because if you can look at the name of a food and go, how does that feel? Second chakra will either go, or, and it doesn't mean forever or forever. It just means right now in this moment. Particularly the first 3 chakras give intuitive voices that are pretty much about right now, right? So it might very well be that your second chakra is being repressed, oppressed in some way, financially, sexually, creatively, in relationships. You might be feeling a little stifled, held down by other, not just other people. This would be obviously one other person, a one-on-one relationship. But that you do have the support. Now, what's interesting about the card of support is the lower back is symbolic of support, right? It's like you have to support your lower back. That's why, we do ab exercises to support the lower back. Lord knows I do. I'm doing my yoga and all of that. So keep that in mind. There's definitely some healing that can take place here with forgiveness in the root chakra and support in the second, right? Drawing upon your relationship to perhaps a particular god, a particular goddess, a particular angel, or I try not to bring it into substances, but if there is a thing where you can really self-care and self-nurture yourself, we'll look at that more in the solar plexus, which is about your relationship to yourself. But if there is, like if you're on meds, stay on your meds. I'm just kind of putting it that way. But also if there is a particular spiritual teacher that helps you and supports you, even if, from a distance, a book, because we really can't be around people right now, depending on when you're watching this. So that support certainly feels like it can come from a particular angel, god, goddess, or perhaps even your higher self. Although I think we're going to see that a little bit more if that shows up in the solar plexus, your relationship to yourself. So let's look at that now, shall we? And sure enough, we've got the card of the moon with celebration. Now, what I like about this combo already is that the full moon, if you see the full moon here in the card of celebration, that the card of the moon here also has the full moon. So it's interesting to get such a powerful lunar influence in the solar plexus. But that certainly says listen to your solar plexus guidance, your survival intuition. Where we have fight, flight, or freeze in the root chakra, and we have in the second, this one tends to go or ooh. This is where your honor code is stored, your conscience, if you will. Yeah, it can sit on your shoulder and whisper in your ear. Are you sure you really want to do that, right? But this is really, I always use this example. Someone asks you to lie. Now, lying's not honorable, right? So it's going to violate your honor code. But if it's for a surprise party, right? If it's for getting someone a special gift and they need to be distracted, then, you know, it's like that's not a violation of your honor. It's being a little bit of a trickster, but it's for a greater good. Now, you know, people would say you should never, ever, ever lie, but are you going to be the one who spoils the surprise, right? You see, that's tricky. And again, here we're looking at deception, so that's interesting that I used that as an example. But with this card of celebration, it's really saying here that to follow this feeling that you are honoring thyself. Here we go. The sacred truth of the root chakra, all is one. We know that, we just don't live it. We will. I think what we're going through now is showing us we're not just all interconnected. We are all one energy field, right? Second chakra, honor one another, right? So if you need to or in a dishonorable situation where you're being oppressed, know that the support is there in spirit to help you through that. But then this one definitely is the solar plexus sacred truth. Honor thyself, thy being an indication of the divine within you. This is a major arcana card. This is Yemaya. This is about the ebb and flow of divine guidance coming through you, the waxing and the waning of it all. And with that card of celebration, this can very much be about celebrating yourself, right? About, you know what? Okay, that's right. Those are the people that I come from, and these people are fucking driving me up a wall. But you know what? I got me. I will get through this. I have the guidance and the grace. I have the intuitive ability to navigate, regardless of whether the groups I belong to or the individuals in my life like it. Remember that very well-meaning people can often be very toxic. They're well-meaning, but fear is still fear, and can, oh, I gotta watch my language here, they can transfer their toxins in that way to you, the psychic toxins, that can make you really doubt yourself, or as I like to say, don't hand your bubble to bubble poppers, right? Don't hand your dreams to people who shoot down your dreams. Follow your gut, follow your guidance, and celebrate yourself, particularly if you are isolated. Because, by the way, you might have a normal support system, but because of our current situation, you might be oppressed. You might be blocked from actually connecting with those people in any other way than perhaps a phone call, a text, or social media, right? So to really go in and celebrate how far you've come, how much you've endured, how much you've grown through, right? Take this time to reflect. Remember, the moon reflects light. It does not, give light of its own. It reflects the light of the sun. To really reflect and honor your journey of how you've gone. I notice that people who have a lot of stomach upset issues usually have anxiety issues, and I've really learned that anxiety is usually unprocessed grief. So sometimes we need to kind of embrace and celebrate what we have been through and cry those tears of grief, because grief is just love that has nowhere to go, right? So we stuff it down, and then there is this almost terrifying fear of loss as a result, right? And so everything gets charged with that anxiety, the fear of loss. Isn't that right, Sabby Wabby? Just sneezed at me. Cutest thing ever. Okay, so there is our first level of power, the physical world. Now we look at the mental, emotional world. You okay, baby? I'll keep my eyes on my boys. Let's look at the heart chakra, emotional power, right? So we've got tribal power, relational power, personal power. Now we look at your emotional power, and you've got focus on self-acceptance. There it is. Now, self-acceptance is an interesting thing, because you want to say, okay, I accept this about myself. I accept that about myself. And that can work, except sometimes with the emotions, sometimes it's like that verbiage doesn't really work for me personally. What works is, it's okay. It's okay. I want to rip their hair out in great big handfuls. It's okay. Not going to do it, but it's okay. Self-acceptance is about giving you some extra breathing room, that this too shall pass, but you can't repress it and have it pass. In fact, repressing it is what creates pieces of that dead elephant that you're dragging behind you. And since there seems to be this, deception going on with your tribes and this oppression going on in your one-on-one relationships, then maybe it's really time for you to focus on accepting yourself. Now, oh, hold on, I gotta feed them. Be right back. I don't know why they picked today. I work from home every day, but they're very active today. So as I was saying there, it's like really focus on the acceptance of the self here. That whatever it is that you're feeling, know that everybody is doing the best that they can, yourself included, and that the emotions that are coming up right now for us, if you are in any way empathic, intuitively empathic, energetically sensitive, a divine feminine, a first wave, or any of that stuff where you are picking up on other people's emotions, keep in mind we are the clear valves right now, where the majority of the population is repressing their fear, their loneliness, their pain. If you're clear in a chakra, it's gonna come up through you. And it's okay, it's okay. The inner child work, really powerful. Now, I will say the Three of Blades, right, in the heart chakra, we're so used to seeing the Rider-Waite version or extrapolations of, with a heart with 3 swords in it, usually called heartbreak, except the heart isn't broken. This is about focus, getting to the heart of the matter. And with self-acceptance, keeping in mind that the sacred truth of the heart chakra is love, is divine power, that it's okay, I love you. It's okay, I love you. Yes, the emotions will come up and through you, but if you keep going, if you keep breathing, if you keep allowing, which takes time, and it seems a lot of us have that time to do this, that kind of internal, loving, open-hearted focus, you can really get to the heart of the truth of who you are and be that channel of love as divine power into this world, at least for yourself. But then, of course, that is going to bless the quantum, because as one heart is loved and accepted, all hearts are healed bit by bit by bit. Cool? I like this. Let's see, throat chakra, willpower. Sabby, what are you doing? Come here, you. You're like scratching shit. Yes, I accept you as you are. Just don't scratch shit while I'm working. Like he understands what I'm talking about. Give me that stink eye. Throat chakra, willpower. What will you do? What won't you do? What are your choices? What are your decisions, right? Well, here we've got the Scorpio card with friendship. So it might be that there is an 8th house scorpionic transformation going on in terms of your friendships, that you have decisions to make. Now, the sacred truth of the throat chakra is surrender your will to the divine. But this keeps coming up. The spheres of the Kabbalistic tree of life. There are 10 of them in the Kabbalistic tree of life. Look at the 10 of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite Tarot. That's the tree of life, that configuration. But they are in 7 layers or levels, if you will. So the throat chakra is justice and mercy. This has come up, I think, in every one of these spreads. This is only the 3rd one I've done in this series, though. But in terms of friendship, are you going through a bit of a dark night of the soul? Either that, or is there a Scorpio character in your life that you can confess to? The throat chakra's ability, the grace of counsel, is about let me talk to myself or express myself in ways that are of the soul and of healing, to make healing, wise, powerful choices for ourselves. And perhaps even to choose to be friendly with ourselves with some of our unspeakables, to some of our stuff that's hidden, or perhaps there really is a transformation of your choices going on here in terms of who you surround yourself with. I will say that in terms of friendship, my friends have always saved my ass way more than lovers did, but in particular, like, my mom has been there for me throughout, that unconditional love. So as much as she is my mother, we're also friends in that way. Well, as an adult, you get to do that if you're willing to do the work, to see them as other souls and bodies, not just your parents. But I will say, the 8th house of other people's resources, there's usually an exchange here. And since the throat chakra is so much about communication, is there a way that you can talk about transformation or have friendly conversations that transform, change the form, transformation, changing the form, action, or the action of changing form, right? But I'm also getting, like, if there's any kind of financial repression here, money, sex, power, that's very second chakra, Scorpio, that there is a link there. So this might be a good time to, yes, evaluate that word judgment, right? Judgment and mercy, but to balance it with mercy. Everybody makes mistakes. And if we're talking about a tribe of friends here where this deception is going on with forgiveness, there is an opportunity for healing here. And look, life moves at the speed of forgiveness. I learned that from Carolyn Mace. There is no healing or happiness without forgiveness. I learned that from the Course in Miracles. But we also have to be authentic about it. There's no sense in trying to make yourself forgive when you're not ready. Forgive yourself for not forgiving, right? Start that within yourself. Make friendly choices for you right now, particularly if you are isolated. I believe we're all being isolated so that we introspect. And for those who are not introspecting, who are distracting, addicting, drink, drug, TV, sex, whatever have you, then that's what they're supposed to do. But if you are willing to go within and make wiser, friendlier choices for yourself right now, perhaps the rite of confession, getting things off your chest through writing perhaps, or telecounseling, I would take the opportunity to do that, even if it's talking with a friend that you can trust, where things can be kept secret, safe, and confidential. That's counsel. That's the difference between counsel and gossip, confidentiality, right? Third eye. Let's look at the third eye. What's going on in your mental power, my Capricorns? This is a very Capricornian read. Interesting. Focus, right? Isn't that interesting? Third eye, like you want to focus these eyes. You can bring them together. Focus the third eye, because the third eye can only see truth or illusion. They're mutually exclusive. You can't see them both at the same time. But with the Ace of Pentacles, about a new opportunity or a new beginning. Focus on a new beginning mentally. Now, it's just a seed. A seed, an acorn is not an oak tree, but an acorn has the potential of an oak tree. There's the DNA, if you will, the structure of an oak tree within every acorn. But, you can feed it to a squirrel, you can crack it under your heel, or you can plant it, tend it, and help it grow. So in terms of the manifestation of something new in your life, particularly if you are, let's say, forgiving and letting go, cutting some cords, cutting some people out of your life due to toxicity, really good time for it, since so many of us are in lockdown. And for those of us who aren't, if you are sequestered with people like that, you might really have to keep to yourself right now, put up some boundaries, really focus on you, accepting yourself, going behind the castle wall, pull up the drawbridge, and focus on what it is, the new opportunities. Like, if I could rewrite this, what would I have? If I could wipe the slate clean, what do I want? Not just in terms of the element of fire. What do I need in terms of something, a stable new beginning? Good time for that, because everything seems to be put on pause right now, so a good time to dream the new. Also, we just had new moon in Aries yesterday, so at least for this next 2 weeks until the new moon in Libra, a lot of this planning we can do until we're ready to actually manifest. Crown Chakra, your spiritual power. Oh, good. Healing of sorrow. Okay, so now look, this is the Four of Cups. Now, it's different than you often see the Four of Cups, usually about emotional dissatisfaction, right? 3 cups on the ground, the spirit, hand of God, whatever hand, and the other one, and you're like, meh. this one is literally called sorrow, but I see it as a card of emotional release. Now, does that mean emotional release in the crown chakra? No, but that it's in process. That the spiritual healing, perhaps from the support being given to you in the second chakra with this card of oppression, there is an opportunity for spiritual healing. Now, spiritual healing is a little vague, right? Well, what does that mean? Does that mean Reiki? Does that mean, meditation? Well, it can be all of that. But that there is something in the divine plan for you where your energy body is in a place of healing, but there is most likely some emotional release coming along with that, particularly if you are willing to forgive yourself for deceiving or being deceived, being drawn back to that root chakra card in terms of groups, friends, tribes. Or if there is this thing going on where you are being oppressed by another person, and you have the support to move on, sure, there's going to be some emotional release, but that it will be healing. Keep in mind, we're all a little sensitive right now because everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid of you-know-what, right? Loss in one way, shape, or form. So this might also be saying that from a spiritual point of view, your spirit never loses anything. Nothing can be lost in the divine plan and in fifth dimensional unity consciousness. Why? Because there's only one of us, right? All is one. We're going to mirror back to the root chakra, sacred truth. Sacred truth of the crown chakra. By the way, I forgot to say, the sacred truth of the third eye is seek only truth. So perhaps focus on that, the truth of what it is, the real opportunity for you. It may be being presented to you. But the sacred truth of the crown chakra is live in present time. So though you may be crying about the past or freaking out about the future, that healing takes place in the now, whether it's about what was or what may be, or what it might look like really is going to happen in that potential, focusing on that. Know that there is healing here. Now, of course, Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, Zen Buddhism, breathwork, so many ways to bring yourself into the present moment. But what I'm getting with this is that it is your spirit has the answers, but that the love of the divine moving through you may bring you to tears. And as we heal, as we feel, we heal, but this feels like it's not completely coming into manifestation yet. But what's going on in the emotional power here is this focus on self-acceptance. That might give you some of the room in order to emotionally purge, let go, release. And by the way, not always through sorrow. We can absolutely release stuff through laughter and joy as well. But that usually takes quite a bit of healing and process to get to that place as well. You with me? All right. So we've got our physical, we've got our emotional, mental. Now let's look at our spiritual, really mystical in terms of the 8th chakra, right? The home of the higher self, the home of the archetypes, the upper room, the star center. Guess what, darlings? Your sign, the Capricorn card. So we're going to take this as being your higher self with divine guidance. Look, the higher self loves us. Why does it love us? Because it's us, right? It is the part that yes, can fully come into the body, but in moments of unconditional love, pure bliss, the full anchoring of heaven into earth through the physiology, right? It happens. Those are peak moments. But imagine your guardian angel as your higher self hovering above you saying, look, honey, this is all scripted in the divine plan, in the quantum field, however you want to see it. There's all sorts of different twists and turns this plan is going to take, but I'm here, I'm with you, and I'm guiding you. So definitely a sense of meditation, but meditation not so much the active visualization stuff, but just saying, all right, I'm here, higher self, right? I am here. Capricorn is slow and steady wins the race. Capricorn is climbing the mountain, but Capricorn is also cardinal creative earth. So with that Ace of Pentacles with focus in your third eye, you might be given, yes, this situation, the toxicity that you may very well be dealing with here and now is being transformed. You have the choices that you can make to be friendly to yourself. That card of friendship there with the Scorpio card. Choices that transform this, but that you are being guided, and ultimately you can't get it wrong. Just move towards your own freedom and liberation, and hopefully if you can forgive as you go a little bit here and there, well, you know, they're toxic, but never try and force your forgiveness, nor should you avoid it. It's more a question of saying, I'm willing to forgive, but not right now. Right now, I am really, and may not be hitting right this second, but I need to grieve, I need to cry, I need to scream, I need to rage, but in a way that is friendly and healthy for me, that won't do any more harm going on in this situation or to myself. The divine guidance there with Capricorn, being that we're doing the Capricorn reading in the 8th chakra, really does speak of that you have a lot of what? Spiritual support that's going to help you through all of this. It's almost like spirit, your higher self is talking, but are you taking time to listen? Yeah. Let's ask your higher self how interesting. We will go with the Whisper of Love Oracle to get one card from the Higher Self Collective for you, shall we? Take a nice deep breath. The higher selves of all involved, please, one card in clarity for the Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, and getting this chakra check spread here, this chakra check, their energies, their 8 energy centers. Please, what is the guidance and the grace? What is the whisper of love that you have for this Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign this March to April 2020? Rest and relaxation is essential. There's not much you have to do in terms of the external here. In fact, as I'm looking at these, there is nothing really action-oriented, at least in your first 3. Even looking at your second 4, right? The heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown. No real action-oriented stuff going on here. Rest and relaxation is essential. We all have a fundamental need to take a break. And you might actually then be able to forgive and see things differently. That doesn't mean you have to linger with toxicity if people are unapologetically toxic. Here is one of my boundaries. If someone is willing to heal, to grow, to learn, to be the best that they can be, I will do everything in my power to help them, but, you know, it's only what's in my power. I can't do everything. But if someone is unapologetically toxic, bye. I've walked away from the closest people in my life that way. It's like, oh, you're going to lie and deceive, and you're going to defend that you'd lied and deceived? That's okay. At that point, that's not my neuroses. That's yours. Why? Because it's your neuroses, not mine. I just riffed on Trixie and Katya. I just watched their new one, the random one. That was funny. Howling. Yeah, follow me on Facebook. I post that stuff on the regular. Let's get you a healing mantra, right? What better for a chakra spread than the healing mantra deck by Matt Kahn. One side of the card is the mantra itself, the other the name of the mantra. Otherwise, there's nothing else written on these cards, but I will use the name to look it up in the little bookie booklet. Shall we? No, I didn't ask for it. It just jumped. Didn't see what it was. Breathe. Ah, the Ascended Masters, please, we need this one. Again, the Capricorns have got a rough road here. Please, my Ascended Masters, one card in clarity, the perfect healing mantra for this Capricorn Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, please. What's going on for them? What is the perfect healing mantra for them this March to April 2020? That one really wants to come. Untangling neglect, like someone neglecting to tell you the truth. I take the time to give myself all the approval I desire. Now, there isn't an approval card in this deck. There is an acceptance that you got here with focus, right, on self-approval. I take the time to give myself all the approval I desire. Untangling neglect. Let's. Untangling neglect. When neglect is untangled, you are no longer turning to outside sources for constant reassurance and validation. There it is. Instead, you are going within the depths of your own heart to notice the parts of yourself that require the presence of your attention. In nurturing yourself in this way, you step forward as the first responder to each wound, concern, and desire. From this space, there becomes less of a likelihood of attracting relationships where further neglect occurs, simply because you have accepted your role as the one who nurtures the innocence within you. This is so spot on. This mantra is ideal for building self-confidence, surviving codependency, and healing neediness. I'm going to pop up the picture, and we'll see what else comes in the overview. Right? You with me? Nice deep breath. Magic clap. We're going to start from the top and work down. In the 8th chakra, the star center, it really does feel like you got the higher self there, because this is the Capricorn card in your 8th chakra with divine guidance. You put those two together, it's really like the truth of who you are, giving you the guidance, giving you the wisdom that you really are supposed to be relying upon yourself, but not necessarily your personality, your ego, or your wounds, which is what we do when we cut out the divine, particularly our own divine guidance from our own divine selves. So just keep that in mind. It's hovering over you, and it is offering to you in the crown chakra some healing, but it may trigger some tears, some emotional release, some emotional discomfort or discontent coming down through the crown chakra, which means you might be holding it at an arm's distance, trying to run from it or avoid it. But with that, the Pentacle card, the Ace of Pentacles in the 3rd eye with focus, that if you really want to focus on a new beginning here, a new opportunity, it's like this is the clearing of the plate so that something new can be served here. And the 3rd chakra, that's Hecate, the Crone of Cups, the Scorpio card, that there is a decision. I mean, the crone of the crossroads, right? So there is a choice, a decision here about friendships that might be terminating or transforming, perhaps really having a conversation with somebody about what you will and will not deal with anymore, or maybe just going inside and deciding to be friendly with yourself, particularly with this card of untangling neglect. I take the time to give myself all the approval I desire. And that certainly shows up in the heart chakra there with the 3 of Blades and self-acceptance. That really focusing on the acceptance of your own emotions as they come, giving them room, not trying to heal them and make them go away, but giving them the room to express themselves. Allow yourself to have the emotional arc from beginning to middle to end, to let these emotions pass through you. Because remember, in that crown chakra, we've got that card of sorrow with the card of healing. So any tears you shed, any loss you feel, any grief you experience is going to be clearing not just your energy fields, but the very cells of your body, not to mention helping to relieve pressure from all of humanity and all of life through this very challenging time we are in. In our solar plexus, though, we do have the celebration of the moon there, really to celebrate yourself. You are enough. And if you are truly isolated right now with no one to turn to or talk to, please reach out. There are people, there are therapists, there are counselors that are ready to help. And if you can't afford them, tell them that. They will, if they won't take you on pro bono, they'll probably refer you to those who can. But absolutely, you are a beautiful, powerful being. To celebrate yourself says, look how far I've come. I have walked this path. I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm moving forward, and my gut is telling me that I am walking my path solo right now, but it will not always be that way. Let me enjoy, let me celebrate, let me embrace where I am and who I am on my path right now, because it does feel like there's some oppression in terms of support from people around you, but also that you're getting support from the divine guiding you forward, which is why the development of self-esteem often means walking away from the estimation of others, positive or negative. That we have, self-esteem is not tribe esteem, and it is not relational esteem. It is self-esteem. So if you are being oppressed, perhaps it's time for you to pick up your bed and walk, particularly if that oppression comes from neglect, which feels like oppression would be more in terms of abuse, something more active, but it can certainly be passive, where you ask someone for the truth and they don't tell you, or you ask someone for help and they don't give it, or they make you wait. They say, oh yeah, let's definitely do that, and then they ghost you, right? Moving down even into the root chakra here, the tribal power in the physical world, a forgiveness of a deception. Yeah, forgive this eventually, because why carry someone else's wounds with you if you don't have to? But there's also this feeling that I get here that if this is tribal, if this is ancestral, if this is something that just goes on, come here, Milky, that goes on within the larger family structure or strata within your tribes, that there's just an overall deceptive deal going on here, eventually forgive it, because they are in their own pain. But not only are you free to walk away from it, but certainly you have the opportunity to heal and transform as a result. Keeping in mind, you don't have to do any of this actively, right? Because rest and relaxation is essential, says the higher self. We all have a fundamental need to take breaks. And your mantra for untangling neglect: I take the time to give myself all the approval I desire. And since we are where we are on the planet, going through what we are going through, what better time could it be? Really write down that mantra and work it for yourself. Well, there you go, Capricorns. As usual, a slow and steady wins the race, but it doesn't feel like there needs to be any immediate confrontation on any of this stuff, so much as more internal work, which is usually what the chakras are about. Particularly with that rest and relaxation is essential. Take your time with this, but you are worthy of everything. And you know what? We've all been, well, maybe not everybody's been abused, neglected, or codependent, but everybody's had loss. Everybody's has that pain, that fear. And remember, when people neglect, it's because they were neglected. And when people abuse, it's because they were abused. And when people are codependent, it's because they were codependent upon. But that certainly doesn't mean that we have to stick around for it, but also do the healing so that you'll be more aware of it the next time it comes into your orbit, and so that you can learn from this experience, look back on it someday, and really be able to forgive it in terms of, no, that set me up, that prepared me, that taught me things that nothing else could. Because to just draw upon the words of Matt Kahn in his new book, oh God, I can't, you know me with direct quotes, but essentially, in order to be who I was born to be in this life, my life couldn't have happened any other way. So this is a setup for you in the divine plan and the quantum, but it's a rough lesson. I can feel it in the cards. So may you be blessed with all that you need on your healing path, the clearing and the alignment and the balancing of your own energy fields and power for the well-being of all. So mote it be. Please do like, subscribe, comment in the comment section below. Let me know what this is about if you can. And by all means, if you want a reading, I'm here. I can do Facebook Messenger, Skype, or even over the landline. Can you imagine? I still have a landline, right? Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of this March into April 2020. My fellow Earth signs, I love you so very much. Hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.